Welcome everyone to the light of Zion. The light of Zion is our God's word. Yahuwah's word is a lamp for our feet and a light for the road that we travel. Shine your light, O Yahuwah. Let it lead us to your holy mountains. Shine your light, O Yahuwah. Let it lead us back to Zion. Shine your light and let it guide us on our journey back to you. Shine your light, for it is good for me. And with that, I say, welcome to the light of Zion. Hello and welcome. It's my pleasure to come to you again with another presentation coming from the light of Zion. I know and I hope that this channel has been edifying to you and encouraging to you, helping you to endure until the end. So I'm glad you are joining me again for another presentation. Please like and share and subscribe to this channel. Share it so that others can become aware of what our God is doing and what they need to do in order to avail themselves of the salvation that God has planned for His chosen people. So today is a great day, and this topic is titled Q&A with God today. Yes, we are going to have questions and answers with God today. Are you excited? I am. So we are going to ask God questions, and we are going to expect answers from God. Isn't that wonderful? To stand before God to ask Him some questions that has been bothering our mind. And then listen as He gives us answers to those questions. So, to begin, we are going to consider certain things or certain rules that can be applied. Keep in mind, we are approaching who? The Most High God, to ask questions. Think of what happens when you go maybe to see the President of the United States, and can think of the kind of questions you may ask when you get in front of him. So think about that. We are approaching the Most High God to get answers from Him. So consider the questions that you will ask the Most High God. But the question is this: can humans question God? Can we humans question God? When you approach your president, do you question him concerning the things he's doing, or do you ask foolish questions? I mean, you can ask questions, but do you ask foolish questions? No. So that is a rule that we have to keep in mind. So, can humans question God? Well, God is a spirit, but yes, we can ask reasonable questions and God will reveal the answers to you. So, or however, we do not have the right to question God about his decrees or the decisions that he has made, especially with his dealings with his sons, the work of his hand. We do not have right to ask God questions regarding those topics. So we do not have right to ask God about his decrees and decisions. We do not have right to question God concerning his sons, the works of his hand that he is dealing with. We do not have the right. So in the book of Isaiah chapter 45 verse 11, there is written, "This is what Yahuwah the Holy says, the Holy One of Israel, the one who formed him. Would you question me about the things coming and command me about my son, the works of my hands?" So God will not be questioned or cross-examined concerning his decrees or the ways he is dealing with his sons of Israel. God cannot be questioned or cross-examined. Why? It is because Yahuwah is the grand master and creator of all things. So, since he is the creator of all things, we do not have the right to question him concerning his decisions, concerning his judgments or his decrees of things that will take place. No, concerning the things that he is doing with regard to his sons, the sons of Israel, the work of his hand. We do not have that right. Just like when you go to see the president, you have right to ask certain questions, but you do not have right to ask certain other questions or challenge the authority of the president of your country. So, in the book of Isaiah chapter 45 verse 12, there is written, Yahuwah said, "I made the earth and created man in it. I stretched out the heavens with my own hands, and I give orders to all their armies." So by that reason, we cannot challenge God's authority or his decision that he has made. Why? Because Yahuwah gives order and command that all his creations will follow and will obey. So those are the rules as we come to the Most High God to interact and examine or ask questions and ascertain answers from him. We have to abide by those rules. So Yahuwah does things as he pleases for the good of his creations. We should keep that in mind, that whatever decisions that God has made, whatever decree that he has made, whether of long ago or whether of recent, those things and decrees and judgments he makes for the good of his creations. So we should keep that in mind. So we do not have the right to question God about his decrees, his decisions, and his judgments, because he is the creator of all things, and he gives the order and decides what should be done. In the book of Romans chapter 9 verse 19 to 21, there is written, "So you will therefore say to me, why does he find fault? For who has stood his will? But who are you, O man, to be answering back to God? So does the things molded say to his molder, why did you make me this way? What? Does the potter have authority over the clay to make, does not the potter have authority over the clay to make from the same lump one vessel for an honorable use and another for a dishonorable use?" So yes, the fact that the potter that mold the clay has the choice, the authority to mold a clay to become whatever he or she chooses. He can mold a clay to become a cup, and he can mold a clay to become the same clay to become a plate. So the potter has that authority, just like Yahuwah has that authority, and he makes decisions and decrees and judgments of things that will take place regarding what? The clay, or regarding his creation. So just as God out of Adam and Eve and out of Rebekah allowed for the producing of two manner of people that will have dominion over the earth, that is his decisions. You can ask God, why did you make it this way? That some people will have dominion over the earth at certain times, and then another people have dominion at certain time. So God has made our decisions, and those decisions will stand. And the clay has not the right to ask the potter, why did you make me to become a cup and not make me to become what? A plate. The clay does not have that right. Thus, in that same manner, we do not have that right to ask God, why did you make me to be of the seed of the serpent, or to be of the seed of God? You do not have that right to ask that question. So therefore, we do not have the right or the ability to question God about his decisions regarding his creation. So that being the case, and that being the rule for this Q&A today with God, we are going to proceed with bringing up questions that we can present to God and then find the answers. So Yahuwah, our God, humbles himself, and he gives us answers to questions that we want to find answers to. So what are the questions that you would like to find answers to? Hopefully some of these questions that will be presented in this presentation will be some of the questions that you may have thought about asking God, or questions that you may have puzzled over and wanted to know the answers. So hopefully today God can provide satisfying answers or reply to you as these questions are brought up and as these questions are discussed, the answers are discussed. So the first one is this. Many have asked the following questions. The first one is this. Why is Israel his only chosen race and people? Why is Israel his only chosen race and people? Well, it is based, God humbles himself and then answers. It is based on the promise God made with Abraham to choose his descendants to use to bring blessings to the human family. So God chose Israel based on the promise that he has made to Abraham, and that is to choose Abraham's descendants to bring blessings to human family on earth. So in the book of Genesis chapter 12 verse 3, there it is written, I will bless those who bless you, and I will cause him who calls down evil on you. And all the families of the ground will be certainly blessed themselves, will be blessed by means of you. So God told Abraham that he will bless those who bless him, and he will cause those who cause evil on him. So by means of Abraham, all families of the ground will certainly bless themselves by means of Abraham. So, Deuteronomy chapter 7 verse 6 to 8, there it is written, For you are a holy people to Yahuwah your God, and Yahuwah your God has chosen you to become his people, his special property out of all the people who are on the face of the earth. It was not because you are the most numerous of all the peoples that Yahuwah showed affection to you and chose you, for you were the smallest of all the peoples. Rather, it was because Yahuwah's love for you, and because he kept the oath that he had sworn to your forefathers, that Yahuwah brought you out with a mighty hands to redeem you from the house of slavery and from the power of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. So Yahuwah humbles himself and answers. It wasn't because Israel was the greatest or the largest of all the peoples, no. But because Yahuwah was keeping what? Faithfulness to the oath that he swore to Abraham to choose his descendants, his chosen descendants, to bring blessings to the human family. That is why Yahuwah brought Israel and chose Israel to be his special people, to serve him, and through whom that he's going to bring blessings to all the families of the earth. So that is why Yahuwah chose Israel as his people, because of the promise that he made to Abraham. Many have also asked this question at Jeremiah chapter 2 verse 14. Is Israel a servant or a slave born in the household? Then why has he been given over to plunder? So many have asked that question. Was Israel born to be a slave to the nations forever? Was Israel born to become slave, perpetual slave, to house slave to the nations? Because the nations has subjected Israel descendants to what? To slavery position. So they have asked, is Israel born to be a slave to the nations forever, or to be a house slave, to be plundered, given over to be plundered, to the plunder? But God humbles himself and answers, say, no, God is dealing with Israel according to the decree and decisions that he has made, and according to the agreement that our ancestors signed with God long ago. So that is why Israel is in slavery, or Israel is being plundered, because God is dealing with Israel according to this decree that he made long ago. Even in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15, according to the decisions that he made and the agreement that our ancestors signed with God long ago. That is why Israel is still what? Being plundered. That is why Israel is still scattered among the nations, serving the nations till today. And that agreement is this. In the book of Genesis chapter 15, verse 13 to 16, there is revealed. Then he said to Abram, know for certain that your offspring will be foreigners in a land not theirs, and that the people there will enslave them and afflict them for 400 years. But I will judge the nation they will serve, and after they will go out with many goods. As for you, you will go to your forefathers in peace. You will be buried at a good old age. But they will return here in the 4th generation, because the era of the Amorite has not yet reached its full measure. So God humbles himself and reveals to Abram what he is doing, what his plans are concerning Abraham and concerning his descendants, the chosen descendants. He said this chosen descendant of Abraham will be taken to lands that is not theirs, and that they will be afflicted, they will be enslaved, even up for 400 years. But God said he's going to judge the nations that they will serve. And after they will return back to the promised land that he promised to give to them in their 4th generation. So God revealed that in the 4th generation is when Israel's descendants, the descendants of Abraham, will become free from the imposed slavery on them. In their 4th generation in the promised land is when they will become free from the imposed servant or servitude to the nations. In the book of Jeremiah chapter 25 verse 14, there is written, for many nations and great kings will make slaves of them, and I will repay them according to their deeds and the works of their hands. So it was God revealed what he is doing with the sons of Israel, the works of his hand. He does not need to answer us concerning this, but God humbles himself and answers and gives us an answer. So many nations and great kings will make slaves of the descendants of Abraham. But then he will repay them according to the nations, according to their deeds and the works of their hands. So to know who the chosen descendants of Abraham is or are, you find out the people that has been serving the nations as slaves, or the people that has been subjected to slavery position. So God said that after many nations and great kings have made slaves of the descendants of Abraham, then he will repair these nations. Then descendants of Abraham will become what? Free from their slave position to the nations. Okay? So many also have asked this question at Acts chapter 1 verse 6. There is written, so when they had assembled, they asked him, Lord, are you restoring the kingdom to Israel at this time? So in other words, they are asking, when will Israel, the chosen descendants of Abraham, be free from their imposed slavery to the nations and be restored to their homeland? So when will chosen descendants of Abraham be free from their imposed slavery to the nations and be restored to their homeland? Well, God, Yahuwah God, humbles himself and answers. In the book of Isaiah chapter 45 verse 13, there is written, I have raised up a man in righteousness, and I will make all his ways straight. He is the one who will build my city and set my exiles free without a price or a bribe, says Yahuwah of armies. So Yahuwah said, yes, he has raised up a man, the one that will do what he has decreed long ago, the one that will set free the captives of his people Israel, the ones that he will use to break the yokes of the neck of his people. He said he has raised up a man that will carry this in righteousness. And this is the one that will build his city or his kingdom. So Yahuwah answers, yes. In the book of Luke chapter 1 verse 30 to 33, there is written, so the angel said to her, that's to Mary, said, do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. And look, you will become pregnant and give birth to a son, and you are to name him Yahushua. This one will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High God. And Yahuwah God will give him the throne of David his father, and he will rule as king over the house of Jacob forever, and there will be no ends to his kingdom. So, yes, Yahuwah said he has raised a man, and that man is his son Yahushua, who was born of a woman. And he is the one that God will use to do what? To free Israel's descendants from their subjected slavery position to the nations. And he will rule as king over the house of David, his father, and over the house of Jacob forever. And there will be no end to his kingdom. So, yes, Yahushua will rescue all the chosen ones of Israel and restore them to their homeland at the appointed time. And he will rule as king over the house of Jacob. So yes, at the appointed time, God will use the men that he has raised up to free the descendants of Jacob, of Abraham, from their slavery to the nations. Many have asked this question to God. Will all Israel be saved? Many have asked, will all Israel descendants be saved? Will all Israel descendants be saved? Well, in the book of Romans chapter 9, verse 6 to 8, God humbles himself and answers. It's written, however, it is not as though the word of God has failed, for not all who descended from Israel are really Israel. Neither are they all children because they are Abraham's offspring. Rather, what will be called your offspring will be through Isaac. That is, the children in the flesh are not really the children of God, but the children by the promise are counted as the offspring. So it is revealed it's not all Israel by the flesh that are counted for this promise, or will be saved by this promise. It is only those who are children based on the promise, or by the promise, will be counted as the offspring that God will save from among the nations. Those who are children by the promise, descendants of Abraham, those who are chosen, are the ones that will be saved. So not all Israel will be, or who said they are Israel will be saved. Or not all who claim that they are Abraham's children will be saved. No. It is those with the promise. Abraham has many children: Ishmael, Esau, and Jacob. Ishmael and Isaac. Then we have Esau and Jacob. But it's those who are children based on the promise, the chosen, that will be saved. The book of Romans chapter 9, verse 15 to 16, there is written, for he said to Moses, I will show mercy to whomever I will show mercy, and I will show compassion to whomever I will show compassion. So then, it depends not on a person's desire or his effort, but on God who has mercy. For the scripture says to Pharaoh, for this very reason I have let you remain, to show my power in connection with you, and to have my name declared in all the earth. So then, he has mercy on whomever he wishes, but he lets whomever he wishes become obstinate. So, all who are of the chosen based on the promise, and who receive the confirmation of the Spirit, will be saved. But not all. Only the chosen based on the promise, who receive the confirmation of the Spirit, will be saved. So in the book of Acts chapter 2 verse 21, there is written, and everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah will be saved. And calling on the name of Yahuwah doesn't mean saying the name Yahuwah. You have to know what that name implies and the power behind that name, and God has to really adopt you and choose you for you to call upon his name and reveal himself to you to call upon his name. So in the book of Hosea chapter 6 verse 1 and 2 there is written, "Come and let us return to Yahuwah, for he has torn us to pieces, for he will heal us. He struck us, for he will bind our wounds. He will revive us after 2 days. On the third day he will raise us up, and we will live before him." So the true descendants of Abraham, the chosen ones, those chosen according to the promise, are being called to do what? To return to calling on the name of Yahuwah, to return to their God after many years of their being abandoned, to bear punishment for their error. They are being called on to do what? To return to Yahuwah, because he has torn Israel to pieces. But he promised to heal us. He struck us for 2 days. He punished us for 2 days. But he would then raise us up after 2 days, and we will live before him on the third day. So it is those who are being called and chosen for this resurrection after 2 days are the ones that will be saved. Yes, they are the ones that will be saved out of of Israel. In the book of Isaiah chapter 10 verse 21 to 23, there is revealed, "Only a remnant will return, the remnant of Jacob, to the mighty God. For though your people, O Israel, are as grain of the sand of the sea, only a remnant of them will return, and extermination has been decided on, and justice will engulf them. Yes, the extermination decided on by the sovereign Lord, Yahuwah of armies, will be carried out in the entire land." So it was revealed, God answered that only a remnant of Jacob will return back to the mighty God. Even though the number of the people of Israel, and many are claiming Israel, multiply the sand of the sea, only a chosen remnant will return back to the mighty God. The rest of the people, extermination will engulf them. And that is the decision of God that he has made long ago. And it will be carried out in all the entire land. So not all Israel will be saved, but only a remnant will be saved. The chosen are the ones who have come to know Yahuwah, the living God, the God of Israel, and who have turned or returned to seeking and calling upon his name for their salvation. Those are the remnant of Israel that will be saved. So many have also asked this question: will people of other nations be saved? Will people of other nations be saved? The book of Romans chapter 9 verse 15 to 16, there is written, "For he says to Moses, I will show mercy to whomever I will show mercy, and I will show compassion to whomever I will show compassion." So then it depends not on a person's desire or his efforts, but on God who has mercy. For the scripture says to Pharaoh, "For this very reason I have let you remain remain, to show my power in connection with you, and to have my name declared in all the earth. So then he has mercy on whomever he wishes, but he lets whomever he wishes become obstinate. So it all depends on God, on who God chooses to do what? To have mercy upon, and who he chooses to do what? To exterminate or obstinate. In the book of Jeremiah chapter 46 verse 28, there is written, "So do not be afraid, my servant Jacob, declares Yahuwah, for I am with you. I will make an extermination among all the nations where I disperse you. But you I will not exterminate. I will discipline you to the proper degree, but I will not, by no means leave you unpunished." So Yahuwah revealed that he would do what? Make an extermination among the nations, both of the nations, peoples of the nations, and both of the people of Israel. But he promised that he will not completely exterminate his people of Israel. So will other people of the nations be saved? Well, it all depends on Yahuwah, our God, and what he pleases to do. And whoever he pleases to do what? To spare, to preserve a life of peoples of the nations. In the book of Isaiah chapter 60 verse 22, there is written, "The little one will become 1,000, and the small one a mighty nation. I myself, Yahuwah, will speed it up in his own time." So regarding Israel, Yahuwah said that the little one Israel will become a mighty nation, and the small one a mighty nation. The little one will become 1,000, and the small one a mighty nation. So Yahuwah's goal is to make the descendants of Israel that remain the majority above the nations. He wants to make them the majority among the nations. So in that case, the nation's number has to be reduced, even though Israel's number will be reduced too. But the remaining ones of Jacob will be in large number above all the other nations. Because at the end, Yahuwah's goal is for what? For the descendants of Jacob to do what? To have dominion over the earth. In the book of Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 17 to 18, there is written, "I will cause distress to mankind, and they will walk like blind men, because it is against Yahuwah that they have sinned. So their blood will be poured out like dust, and their flesh like the dung. So neither their silver nor their gold will be able to save them in the day of Yahuwah's fury. For by the fire of his zeal the whole earth will be consumed, because he will make an extermination, indeed a terrible one, in all the inhabited earth." So Yahuwah said he will do what? Make extermination in the all inhabited earth, and he will reduce the population of the earth. But he will show mercy to whomever he chooses to show mercy, or he will let remain whomever he chooses to let remain, concerning his will or his decree that he has made long ago. So in the book of Obadiah chapter 1, it is written, "For the day of Yahuwah against the nations is near, and as you have done, so it will be done to you. The way you treated others will come to you, will come back to your own head. For in that day that you, for in the way that you have drunk on my holy mountain, all the nations will keep drinking constantly. They will drink and gulp down, and they will be as though they had never existed. But on Mount Zion will be those who escape, and it will be holy, and the house of Jacob will take possession of the things belonging to them. And the house of Jacob will become a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau like stubble. They will set them ablaze and consume them, and there will be no survivors in the house of Esau, for Yahuwah himself has spoken. So God revealed of what things that he's going to do. He said that he is going to take action on the nations, and as they have done on his holy mountain when they came against Israel, so it will be done to them. Just like the nations destroyed Israel, the Jacobs, and they become as if they have not existed. So nations will become as though they have not been existed. They have not existed after God finished dealing with them, or giving them payback for what they have done to Israel. Just like the descendants of Jacob was reduced, so God will repay vengeance on the nations, and he will reduce them as though they have never existed as a nation. But at the end, there will be those that escaped on Mount Zion. They will come to Mount Zion, and they will be led by the Jacobs. And that is what Yahuwah have answered, has revealed. So, yes, a remnant of the peoples of the nations will remain, but they will not be of a greater number than the people of Israel. Because at the end, the remnant of the people of Israel will become the majority in all the earth. Yahuwah himself has spoken, or have answered. Many have asked this question, will God really do these things that he has revealed that he will do? Will he really do these things? Well, Yahuwah God humbles himself and answers. In the book of Isaiah chapter 46 verse 9 to 11, there is written, remember the former things of long ago, that I am God, and there is no other. I am God, and there is no one like me. From beginning I foretell the outcome, and from long ago the things that has not yet been done. I say my decisions will stand, and I will do whatever I please. I am calling a bird of prey from the sunrise, and from a distant land the man to carry out my decisions. I have spoken, and I will bring it about. I have proposed it, and I will also carry it out. So Yahuwah said, we should keep this in mind. He is God, and there is no other. He is the one that will decide what happens. And he said that his decisions will stand, and he will do as he has pleased. And he said he can even find a man at the appointed time to come and fulfill and do what he pleased, or what his decisions are. So we should keep this in mind. So will he do what he said he will do? Yes, you bet, because he said he is God, and there is no other. In the book of Psalms, chapter 33, verse 11, there is written, "But the decisions of Yahuwah will stand forever, and the thoughts of his heart are from generation to generation." In the book of Zechariah, chapter 1, verse 5, there is written, "Say, where are your fathers now? And did the prophets live forever? Say, however, my words and my decrees that I commanded my servants, the prophets, caught up with your fathers, did they not?" So Yahuwah is giving us an example concerning the people of Israel. He asks, where are your fathers now? Did not the things that he foretold happen to the people of Israel, the forefathers of Israel? So even so, Yahuwah is assuring us that he will carry out the things that he has revealed, that he will carry it out at the appointed times. In the book of Psalms, verse 135, verse 6, chapter 135, verse 6, there is written, "Yahuwah does everything he pleases to do in heaven and on earth, and in the sea, and in all the depths." So whatever he pleases to do, he said he will do in the heavens and on earth, even in the sea. He will carry it out because he is God. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 10 and 11, there is written, "For just as the rain and the snow pours down from heaven, and do not return there until they saturate the earth, making it produce and sprout, giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater, so my words that goes out of my mouth will be. It will not return to me without result, but it will certainly accomplish whatever is my delight, and it will have sure success in what I send it to do." So Yahuwah said that his word that he has spoken, the things that he has decreed long ago, will not return void, but they will be carried out just as he sent them to do, or just as he has decreed them, that these are the things that will take place. So if you do not believe here, your unfaithfulness does not affect the faithfulness of God to carry out his word. You just have to wait until his appointed time to see what he will do. Lastly, many have asked the question, when will God carry out these things that he has revealed that he will do? When will he carry out these things that he has revealed that he will do? Well, God humbles himself and gives answers to us. In the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 1 to 4, there is written, "There is an appointed time for everything, a time for every activity under heavens, a time for birth and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what was planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to wail and a time to dance." So there is an appointed time for everything. So God has an appointed time for doing whatever he has said that he is going to do here on the earth. Amos chapter 3, verse 3 to 7 is written, "We two walk together unless they have agreed to meet. Will a lion roar in the forest when it has no prey? Will a young lion growl from his lair when it has caught nothing? Will a bird fall into a trap on the ground when there is no snare for it? Does a trap spring up from the ground when it has caught nothing? If a horn is blown in a city, do not the people tremble? If a calamity occurs in the city, is it not Yahuwah who has acted? For the sovereign Lord Yahuwah will not do a thing unless he has revealed his confidential matter to his servants, the prophets. So, Yahuwah is the one doing all things. So if a calamity occurs in a city, is it not Yahuwah who has acted? So Yahuwah will act at his appointed times to carry out and to fulfill his will and his decree. But he does not carry these things out, his confidential matters, unless he has revealed these matters to his servants, the prophets of Israel. So yes, God has set a time scheduled when these things will take place, and he reveals these confidential matters to his chosen ones of Israel to serve as his prophets and his servants. In the book of Daniel chapter 8 verse 13 to 14, there is written, "And I heard a holy one speaking, and another holy one said to the one speaking, How long will the vision of the constant future and the transgression causing desolation continue, to make both the holy place and the army thing to trample on? So he said to me, until 2300 evening and morning, and the holy place will certainly be restored to its right condition." So God reveals the time of how long it will take for the things that he has foretold that will take place. He said it will take 2300 evening and morning, or 2300 years, for these things to do what? To be fulfilled, to be carried out. So he has revealed these times to the prophets of Israel, his servants. But you have to know how to calculate them, when it started and how long it's going to last and when it's going to end, and when they will be carried out. In the book of Daniel chapter 12 verse 6 to 7, there is written, "Then one said to the man clothed in linen, who was above the waters of the stream, say, How long will it be to the end of these marvelous things? Then I heard the man clothed in linen, who was up above the waters of the stream, as he raised his right hand and his left hand to the heavens, and swore by the one who is alive forever. It would be for an appointed times and half a time. As soon as the dashing to pieces of the power of the holy people comes to its end, all these things will come to their finish." So God has an appointed time when all these things that he has foretold will come to their finish, or will be fulfilled. But until then, whether it's for an appointed time or appointed times or for half a time, all these things will be fulfilled according to their times appointed to them. But everything will come to a conclusion by the time the dashing to pieces of the power of the holy people comes to an end. The chosen servants and prophets of God knew of these appointed times, and when they will be fulfilled. For God revealed these things to his servants the prophets, but they are confidential matters given to the chosen ones, the servants of our God, the God of Israel. I know you have so many other questions that you may want to ask God and seek for answers, but God has revealed so many answers to us, and this he reveals through his prophets, his servants of Israel. And many of these were recorded for our instructions and for our guidance, upon whom the end of all things has drawn near. So if we keep searching the word of our God, if we keep reading the books and researching them, and keep begging God for his mercy, perhaps he will reveal these answers and many answers to the questions you may have to you. So until I come to you next time, it's been fun having this Q&A with our God, and I hope the answers that you find here are interesting and edifying to you. Go back through them again, share them with others. Perhaps they may avail themselves to be among those that will receive mercy from our God at the end. But keep in mind, our God will do whatever he said he will do. So until I come to you next time, don't forget, subscribe, like the channel, and share it with others. Peace, and remain blessed.